Welcome everyone to a close reading of Shakespeare Sonnet 106. Now in a previous video I explained how Sonnet 98 uses Platonic philosophy as a conceit to show how his beloved is the ideal and everything else in life is merely patterned after him or her. In this sonnet, the conceit is biblical typology, which is similar but different in kind. When in the chronicle of wasted time I see descriptions of the fairest whites, another name for people, so fairest people, and beauty making beautiful old rhyme in praise of ladies dead and lovely knights. So this chronicle of wasted time, this is an interesting phrase, wasted time. It might not mean what we think it means, which is time ill spent. It could be a personification of time. Wasted meant skinny. So in the chronicles of sickly or skinny time, I see, we have the lyrical I see descriptions of the fairest whites and beauty making beautiful old rhyme. So he's reading poetry and he's reading romances about knights and their lovers, perhaps like Spenser's Fairy Queen. Then in the blazon of sweet beauty's best. Blazon was a type of poem which praised the beautiful features of a woman. We also have this plosive, the bee, sweet beauty's best, repeated. And we also have the repetition of beauty here. We have beauty making beautiful, old rhyme linked here with beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow, talking about the subjects of the blazon poem. I see their antique pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. Their old pen or their old writing tried to express the beauty, there's that word again, as you master or possess now. So all their praises are but prophecies of this our time, all you prefiguring. So here's where the biblical typology gets in. According to the Christian hermeneutic of reading Scripture, especially the Old Testament was filled with types or foreshadowings or prefigurings of Christ. All the books of the Old Testament contain certain types, according to Christian hermeneutic of the Old Testament, in which figures like Noah, Abraham, King David, Ezra the scribe, all in some way prefigure or prophesy Christ. So that's the way Christians, particularly Protestant Christians, which was the way of reading the Bible that was going on in Shakespeare's day and Shakespeare's England, that's the way they interpreted the Old Testament. And so that's the conceit going on in this poem. And if you're interested more in that, see my video on typology and reading the Bible as literature. Moving on, and for they looked but with divining eyes, that is, with a spiritual vision. Now notice the link here of vision in this sonnet. He sees descriptions of the fairest whites. He sees that their antique pen will have expressed, and just as the old prophets saw Christ from afar, as the New Testament book of Hebrews explains, so they saw with divining eyes, that is not in the flesh, but in the spirit. They had not skill enough your worth to sing. So instead of the Old Testament, we have old records of romance and of love. And these things prefigure the speaker's beloved. It's a clever conceit. For we which now behold these present days have eyes to wonder, but lack tongues to praise. Perhaps linking praise with singing. But again, we have the eyes and the vision, which is connected all throughout the sonnet. So we have eyes to wonder or to stand amazed by you, by the speaker's beloved, but lack the tongues to praise it. So again, a really clever sonnet, a beautiful musical sonnet with the repetition going on here. But again, you really enjoy the cleverness of it once you understand a little bit more about the conceit and the difference between Platonic philosophy that we saw in the conceit of Sonnet 98 and then the biblical typology that's going on in the conceit in this sonnet. So I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time.